So when we're trying to model that function or create an appropriate model for that function, what was the step that we got? I'm going to guess almost every person in the room got to the same point. You went brackets, x plus 3, x plus 1, bracket. Okay, good. That's your first step complete. What power is that? Is that an even or an odd polynomial? How do you know it's an even polynomial? Yep, so we have an even polynomial. Okay, it does go negative at some point in time, but it is an even polynomial, which means x to the power of 2, or x to the power of 4, or x to the power of 6, etc., etc. What do we think is the most likely situation for this function? Well, can it be x to the power of 2? Can that function be x to the power of 2? If I'm missing a power here, it's probably most likely to be x to the power of 4. It can't be x to the power of 2 because I've got 3 intercepts. So, for that to be the case, one of these must be squared. I don't know which one. Now, if I was sitting in an exam and I was really confused, I could potentially get my calculator out and trial and error and see what happens. I know, because I've given you the solutions. You don't know that if you're doing it by yourself for the first time. So you can look at my solutions, but there won't be those on the exam. So then what you need to ask yourself is, where is it negative and where is it positive? And maybe that can provide some information. So where is this graph negative? Where does y go negative? Where? In what domain? So what values of x produce a negative y value?
-1, -3, -1, it produces a negative.
So between when x is greater than -3 but less than -1, y is negative, correct? In all other parts it's positive. So when x is between -3 and -1, which one of these is negative? Which of these are negative? Is this one negative?
Yeah.
Let's let x equal -2. Just let x equal -2. 1, -1, -3.
Yeah.
So wouldn't our answer be positive there?
Yes.
Ready? When x is equal to -2, I've got a positive, a negative, and a negative, correct? I'm trying to find out which one of these has got the square on it. Well, that tells me one of these two must be the squared value, correct? Because if my value is negative, how do I get a negative? A negative times a positive or a negative times a negative? So that value should be positive, correct? The only way it won't be is if one of these values is positive. So I know my square is either here or here. Well, then I say if it's positive when x is less than 1 and greater than 1, I could let x equal 0 and find out. 3 times 1 times -1, is that positive or negative? Is it negative or positive here?
Positive.
So that means that must be the term that becomes positive, so I know that my power of 2 applies there. Are we happy with that?
Yes.
Now, if I was talking and weren't paying attention during that, I'd probably be taking the trial and error method pretty seriously. Is my question done? What do I need to do? I'm missing something.
Find the appropriate x.
How do I find my A?
You find a point on this.
I find a point I know. What does my point? What's another point that I know that I haven't already?
1, x is 0.
So let x equal 0, y equal 1. So I've got 1 equals a, 3, 1, negative 1 squared. That will give me 3a equals 1. Divide both sides by 3. A equals 1/3. So my full equation is y equals x plus 3, x plus 1, x minus 1 squared. All of that divided by 3, or you could have 1/3 at the front. It does not matter. Now I'm going to suspect that initially this first step here of finding out where the squared belongs is going to be tricky. But I'm hoping that now that I've showed you this one and you've got solutions with you, obviously they're not very valuable if you just copy what I've done. There's no point in doing revision if you're just going to copy what I've done. But you can have a crack yourself and see, did I get the right value, and then check my solutions. Happy with that? Ask yourself, where's it negative, where's it positive? Use the exact same process we've already used. I'll give you 5 minutes to have a crack at least one of the other questions, and then we'll do some work on trig.